Beautiful one. If your north node, that's this symbol right here, lives in the 11th house in your natal chart, I can tell you right now, you were never meant to fit in. Not in the past, not in your family, not even in your old self. You have lived lifetimes where you clung to the familiar, right here, the safety, tradition, and small circles of belonging. You were probably the nurturer, the healer, the one who made it feel like home. But this time, your soul is craving a future that doesn't exist yet because you're here to help build that. This is the house of vision, of collective liberation, of soul aligned community that expands what's possible. The 11th house is not about comfort of the past, it's about the revolution of becoming. Welcome back, beautiful ones. I'm Simply Cindy, and this is The Soul's Path, a hero series devoted to helping you remember your universal assignment and become the version of the future already knows. So, in this series, we explore the North Node right here, the point you're in your birth chart that doesn't just describe you, it evolves you. Now, your South Node, this symbol right here, and let me tell you this, if you don't know astrology, you'll be fine. I'm going to walk you all through this, okay? So your South Node tells the story of where your soul has been, the patterns you've mastered, the gifts you carry, the comfort zone you're being asked to outgrow. But your North Node, that's where everything opens. That's where destiny begins. And today, we step into the 11th house, the house of future timelines, of soul tribes, of humanitarian purpose, and revolutionary remembrance. This isn't just about finding your people, it's about helping the world become what it was meant to be. So let's talk about where you've been and where we know where you've been or get glimpses of it through the South Node, and the North Node is what you want to become, right? But in this life, the way to work with this energy is to balance it. So you take from your experience, your comforts, and then you use it in where you're wanting to head or becoming more of, right? So let's talk about the South Node for this point. If your North Node is in the 11th, then the South Node is always directly opposite. So it would be in the 5th house, right? So if your North Node is in the 11th house, then your South Node lives in the 5th. This is the house of creativity, of romance, self expression, personal joy. So in past lives, you've been the artist, the lover, the dramatic heart of the story. You've known how to shine. You know how to create. You know how to lead from charisma and charm. You were the center of attention, whether in art, in family, or in your personal realm. You have learned and know how to live through the heart. And in this lifetime, that heart, it still beats strong. But now it must open wider. Because this time, the mission is not just about your voice, it's about our chorus. Okay? So the 5th house says, look at me. But the 11th house says, look at what we can become. This isn't about abandoning your joy. It's about plugging your light into a larger grid. So it doesn't just illuminate you, but it ignites a collective awakening. So for me, and the way that I see things, in order to move this way, we need to know as many parts of ourselves as we can. And that includes the shadow of the 5th house, the shadow of who you've been. Okay. So let's talk about who you've been. So the 5th house and the shadow of that, sorry. And the 5th house is where we learn to create, we learn to shine. to be adored. And you, beautiful one, because you've mastered this, you've lived lifetimes where your sense of worth was deeply tied to how visible, loved, or special you were. You may have been the performer, the seducer, the hero of your own myth. You may have been the caregiver whose identity revolved around your children, or the artist who never felt validated unless your work was praised. You might still feel echoes of these patterns now. So you might feel like if it doesn't center me, it doesn't even matter. If I'm not seen, I'm not safe. I have to learn love through performance. But here's the truth. These aren't flaws. They're just echoes. And your soul is ready to evolve beyond them. Because centering yourself to be loved, as much as that is beautiful, it can become a cage. And the fifth house shadow is not selfishness. It's the heartbreak of mistaking applause for purpose. It's the ache of being adored, but never truly being understood. But now, your light doesn't need to be louder. It just needs to be shared. So, with that understanding, let's look at what this placement is asking you to become. Okay. So, the North Node in the 11th house is your soul's call to contribution, not through sacrifice, but through expansion. So, you're here to co create with others, to be part of something bigger than you, to offer your unique voice, not for validation, but for revolution. You have experience here. You have to bring it here. Okay. This is the house of the future timelines, soul tribes, humanitarian visions, and paradigm shifts. It's about channeling your creative gifts into causes. So you take from here and you move it in here. It's about channeling your movements and the missions that change the world. Okay. That's what you have within you. Now, the question isn't, how do I stand out? It becomes, how do I stand with? Okay. Here was, how do I stand out? Here is, how do I stand with? This path calls you to unplug from ego-based validation and to plug into the frequency of collective evolution. Okay. To bring your leadership into communities, to exchange performance for participation, to move from me to we, and discover that your truest radiance was never just about being seen. It was about seeing what's possible. You're not here to entertain. That's here. You've mastered that. You're here to inspire change. And you don't have to do it all alone. Okay, now if you've never seen me before, this is where I differ. This is not the only difference, but this is where I differ from everyone else. I'm going to give you some tools in every video about what we're talking about to anchor this energy, to move through this energy. So you can call it a ritual, you can call it steps to take, you can call it whatever your belief system will accept. Okay, so let's do a ritual or a steps to take. Okay, so you're going to need a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. You're going to need a journal or a piece of paper, right? And then I want you to find a small object that's going to symbolize your future contribution. So a crystal or a pin or a necklace or maybe a coin, right? And you are welcome to put music on or white noise, whatever you like, something to kind of get you in that space, right? And what I want you to do is I want you to hold the object in both hands and I want you to close your eyes, okay? And then I want you to either visualize or imagine. Some of you visualize, some of you imagine. So visualize or imagine standing in a massive circle of light filled with others who are here to awaken the future. Now, you don't know their names, but you do recognize their resonance. And when you can visualize and imagine yourself standing there in the circle of light with the others, I want you to say aloud. Again, you're holding this object, and I want you to say aloud, I am not alone in this becoming. I am part of the field of souls who remember what the world can be. And once you do that, then I want you to breathe in deeply. Okay. And then I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. Okay. And answer them on the journal or the piece of paper. All right. I want you to ask the question and see what comes up. Okay. What future do I long to help build? Because I know you got it in you. You have been prompted in your head, in your soul, in your heart. There's something that you can kind of see in the future. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So, what future do I long to help build? And the second one is, what am I uniquely wired to offer the collective? Okay. And see what comes up with each of these questions. And then the third question is, where do I still believe I have to go it alone? Where do I still believe I have to do it alone? Okay. And answer yourself as truthfully as you can. Okay. Because that's how you're going to move through this. And when you're done, I want you to hold your symbol and say, this is the energy I now embody. May my joy ripple outward. May my voice be part of our healing. Okay. And then I want you to carry the object with you or place it on, if you have an altar, if you have a space where you put objects, you're no longer building in isolation. That's the difference here. Okay. You're resonating into the grid and you're accepting that. All right. Now that we have our mind and our energy and our light, let's anchor this into our body so it accepts it. Okay. So this is so that your nervous system regulates and accepts it. Okay. So this is what you're going to do while shifting from ego identity to collective alignment. Okay. So I want you to place one hand on your heart, the other on your belly, and it's above your belly button. Okay. That's your solar plexus. So one hand on your heart, one hand on your solar plexus. Then I want you to close your eyes and inhale slowly through your nose. Okay. Now, while you're doing this, you're going to be visualizing your heart connecting to thousands of other hearts across the world. You don't need to know what they look like. You don't need to know their name because you already do. You just don't. You don't need to. Your ego is going to try to do that, right? So, close your eyes and inhale slowly through your nose, visualizing your heart connecting to thousands of other hearts across the world. And then I want you to exhale slowly through your mouth. And imagining, as you're doing this, you're going to imagine the golden threads connecting you to that network. That makes sense? I want you to repeat this for 3 to 5 breaths with this affirmation as you're envisioning, visualizing, or imagining, right? And as you're breathing and seeing this or feeling this, I want you to say, I am one part of the whole. The whole moves through me. Right? And this helps the nervous system feel safe while expanding beyond individual purpose. Okay. Because right here, this south node, this is where you feel most comfortable, but you do want to expand here. Right. So this is going to help your body do it with you. All right. And again, I can only give you the tools. It is up to you to do the work. Okay. Everybody has free will here. So let's talk about if this node, which I consider a portal, right? This is a portal, this is a portal. What happens if they're being activated? And by activated, astrologers will say activated. It just means like a planet came through here. You had a return and the portal itself came by here to activate this particular point. or your phase in life, or if a person comes in front of you and they have a planet here, that's going to be activating that energy point for you. Okay. So that's what we mean when we say that. When your 11th house north node is being activated, it can feel like your world is too small for your soul. Have any of you had that feeling? Like, let me know in the comments. I want to know and explain how that feels for you. Okay. But when it's activated, I want you to know that you may experience these things. Okay. The more we know, the more we know, right? So you could experience sudden restlessness in relationships or in career paths or in communities that once felt comforting. And that's because your soul is outgrowing the room. Okay. You also may experience visions or ideas or dreams for a future reality that don't match your current environment. All right. And don't need external validation to be true. That's the key part, is when you're like envisioning those environments, but they don't match what you're currently experiencing, and don't need external validation to be true. You don't need that. You just like, no, I know this is true, right? You also may experience feelings drawn to groups or networks or movements that kind of feel weird to your past self, but they may feel weird, but they're deeply familiar to your higher self. Okay. So you also may experience emotional backlash from your ego or your family roles, especially if your old self was the entertainer, the nurturer, or the shining one, right? You also may experience a pull to relocate or to connect globally or to join causes that feel like they existed outside of time, because they do, right? So that's what you may be experiencing. Let's do a little steps to take to kind of embody this, right? So I want you to get your journal out or a piece of paper out again. And I want you to say this: if I stopped performing for approval, what future could I help create? And then just let the answer show your real arena. Just let the answer show you. Don't try to edit it. Don't try to do any of that. Just kind of see what comes up. Okay. All right. And then number two is another one that you can do is find or create a space, either online or physical, okay, where you can build instead of just shine. Okay. Now, this could be a collective or a cause or even a secret notebook filled with future frameworks. It can be as simple as that. Okay. Now, another one is stand with your feet grounded. And I want you to speak out loud. So if I were you, I would go on the grass with your feet grounded, or even in your home with your bare feet. Okay. Somewhere where you're feeling grounded. Okay. And then I want you to speak aloud when you're doing this. Once you feel grounded and you're connected to the earth, to Mother Earth, right? Or a safe space, right? I want you to speak out loud. I call in those I'm meant to co-create with. I'm ready to be found, and I'm ready to find them, right? And say that with all your heart, okay? This is not hope. It's not a hope. It's a frequency, okay? And you're already tuning in, just watching this, all right? So, beautiful one, let me leave you with this. You are not here to perform for love. You've already mastered that. You are here to participate in awakening. You are not here to be the center of attention. You've already done that. You've mastered that. You are here to help center the truth. Okay? This is the path of the 11th house. When your genius stops waiting for permission, because I know you got it in there, you are genius. When it stops waiting for permission and begins reshaping the future, Your voice matters. Your visions matter. Your weird, wild, knowing kind of way, it matters. It's the part of the grid. So let the old role right here that feels so familiar and comfortable, let it fall away. Let the performance dissolve and let the frequency of your soul speak. Not just be heard, but to be joined. Okay? Now, if this message stirred something deep inside of you, come back next Wednesday for our final episode of the Soul Path series. I'm so excited. This is where we're going to talk about the North Node in the 12th house. Okay? This is where we journey into the mystery and surrender becomes your superpower. All right? Now, also, if you want to go deeper, watch the Pluto series in the 11th house. It's going to help you in this house as well for that deeper social, that look at social contracts and spiritual rebellion and group trauma. Yeah. And also, we are doing something that I don't see anybody else doing. Actually, I don't look, but I don't think anybody else is doing it. I've never seen it. I'm doing identity shift in my series of Sacred Sync. Okay. And that's on Tuesdays. And that's where we're doing identity shift through tarot. So that's the tarot and some channeled guidance. That's where I channel for the awakening of not just ourselves, but the collective. All right. Also, subscribe to stay in the resonance because the future doesn't build itself. It builds through you. It builds through me. It builds through all of us.